another episode of Coaches Conversations.
What up?
I'm Coach Will, and always we have Coach
who? Coach Quan right here. He can't say my name, but it's all good.
That's all right.
Tags will be right under here. If you want to give us a follow on our social medias, please do so. That's always helpful for us. Support the cause. But what we talk about today?
So this week I kind of want to talk about, especially with the new year coming. We got a transformation challenge going on. We also have a lot of new clients that are coming from nothing and coming from, very uneducated and uninformed backgrounds or disinformed backgrounds. So I wanted to go over more of the nutrition aspect today. Talk about where to begin, because you and I both know, especially with trying to understand nutrition for our own goals, for different people's goals, and even when we went to the extreme of bodybuilding, there's a lot that can be done, and you feel like there's so much to do. I've caught myself trying to explain too many things at once to new clients and even older clients. And so how do you go at it? How do you, in the beginning, you have someone brand new, they're looking for a total body transformation, total lifestyle transformation. What's the first thing you do to kind of help bring them in and help get them to understand and have a better relationship with food and nutrition?
Well, I would say the first thing that I would see necessarily is just seeing what they're already intaking, seeing what their caloric intake is daily, weekly, and then everyone's body's necessarily different, so everyone's going to be intaking different amount of calories. So we're just going to get their caloric intake for each day, and then from there I'm going to ask them, what's your favorite foods? What do you have most common throughout the week? And then from there we can assess and then adjust their diet accordingly. But what would you say? How would you approach it? What if they're just coming in?
Honestly, the first thing I do is protein. I think it's the easiest way to get someone to dramatically change the caloric intake, to dramatically change their recovery process, and to dramatically change how they can understand, because a lot of people don't even know what is protein, what foods are protein.
Yeah, sources of protein for us.
Exactly. I've had people ask me, is rice a good source of protein?
Yeah.
Well, rice is great, but it's definitely not a good source of protein.
I feel you. Okay. No worries. What I was going to say is, from there, what do you do after you get that protein?
So I break this all down. I'm super nerdy about this because I feel like the more clear it is, the better we can help show them what they don't, let them know what they don't know.
Okay.
So I go right down to the basic metabolic rate. So I literally go online, and even though these numbers aren't always going to be accurate, not always going to be 100%, I look up their basal metabolic rate, going by their height, their weight, and their level of fitness.
Just the average number to see where they should be standing at for a good general basis. Okay.
So after that, I also look at their weight, and I always have them aim for, for guys, across the board, for guys and girls, honestly, some of them you can just start with, I want to look at 100 grams of protein a day. That's a very simple way. That's one way to do it if people are worried about tracking.
Okay.
Now, if people don't fear tracking, because I'm sure you have this too, where people don't want it, they're worried about measuring and this and that, I feel like that's the most basic way. The only number I want you to track for the next couple of days is your protein.
Okay.
And I want you to hit 100 grams of protein.
Okay. I could see how that's a good way to start, definitely. I would say, are you worried about the other two macros at all?
In the beginning,
the carb,
not necessarily, but that's what the next step I would do. I would have them then meticulously, once they get into the habit of tracking their protein, I want you to take me through an average day of eating. I want you to go maybe 2 or 3 days. I don't believe in tracking every day. That's really hard to sustain. You're not going to be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
And for a lifestyle, it's going to be really annoying, and you're going to give up. So I just want for 2 to 3 days, very, very meticulously track everything.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can break down what their lacking points are. Are they eating too much fat? Are they eating too much carbs? Are they not eating enough carbs?
Yeah.
Is their protein always lacking?
Okay. And I do the same thing with that 2 to 3 days just to get the basis. So I'll have them do the same thing with tracking everything that they have. And then from there, I get their total intake of calories. From there, then I see how much activity they're doing, TBE, total body expenditure. And then depending on what their levels are, we could predict how much calories they're burning throughout the day. So I try and tell all my guys to have a healthier relationship with food, know that you can eat anything that you want, but you cannot outwork a bad diet. So with that being said, you have to be cautious of what you are intaking, using your food as fuel for your body, not necessarily just eating because you want to eat. And then that's one thing that I have seen when I ask my clients, oh, give me 2-3 days of what you've eaten, everything that you've eaten. And even when I ask them their favorite foods, they tend to tell me or maybe sugarcoat what they actually eat. So once that happens, that makes the process a little bit harder for us as the trainer, as the coach, because we're not actually getting everything in the full honest perspective. So, and that's something that we definitely need so that we could actually retain those goals, because once we get the diet on check, you'll start seeing dramatic changes instantly.
Absolutely, and that's such a big thing. And this is something that we press on all the time. What you do outside the gym is just as important, if not more important, honestly, than what you do inside the gym. Because what you're doing in the gym is great if you're giving it your effort, if you're really pushing through your strength training, if you're getting the cardio in, that's all well and good. But if you're not recovering properly with the right nutrition, you're the next day you go into the gym, if you're undercarbed, if you're underfed with protein, if your micronutrients aren't on key, we'll talk about that next, then you're just not going to be able to put the same output in the gym. And then you're not going to be able to lift as heavy, you're not going to be able to have as much endurance, and then now your training is lagging behind because of your nutrition.
Yep.
And it's also going to affect your sleep.
Yeah, we definitely need the nutrition on check.
Definitely. So now, I want to just segue right into it. Supplementation. Now that we talked about nutrition, now that we kind of worked on, like we kind of talked basics, so we can always come back around and dive more into more in-depth nutrition. But while we're just doing broad strokes right now, if you were to broad stroke, what supplements do you recommend? What? And by supplements, I can mean fitness supplements, I can mean like vitamin and mineral supplements, stuff like that. Is there anything that really, across the board, for everyone, men and women, anything like that?
Yeah. Realistically, I would go into my recommendations and then what I would use too, personally. Recommendations, vitamin B3 or just a multivitamin in general. Men's multis, women multis, those are definitely high quality. Fish oils, vitamin B, B3, B12, all the Bs, every vitamin that you possibly could get. Of course, if you are lacking in those areas, so you would definitely check in with your doctor first just to make sure. So there's a bunch that you could look up, like zinc, potassium, all that stuff, but it's not necessary unless your levels are low. And you wouldn't know unless you got a checkup, so go get yourself checked out. And then for supplements inside the gym, I would like to say that pre-workout is actually really, really useful. But that depends on your body, your person. If you like pre-workout, I know some people that the pre-workout, the caffeine spikes their anxiety, so it's not necessarily good for them. So sometimes the pre-workout doesn't sit well in some people's stomachs, or it spikes their anxiety due to the caffeine and all that stuff that comes inside of the pre-workout. So you just have to be careful. Make sure you're using the recommended scoops and stuff like that. I know I go a little crazy, but make sure you're using the recommended doses. And then I would definitely recommend creatine as well. That's one of the only supplements that I definitely would, vouch for. 5 grams a day, necessarily holds water in your muscles. Does a whole bunch for you. And then the last one, I would recommend BCAAs or EAAs.
EAA, so it's branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids.
Yeah, I don't know about the E ones. I know about the BCAAs. So the BCAAs, I would definitely recommend branched chain aminos, just simply going to help with recovery and then also fuel you for some energy, as well as, get some water, some good nutrients into your muscles and into your body, bloodstream and all that good stuff. So those are my top 3: pre-workout, caffeine, and not caffeine, pre-workout, creatine, and then BCAAs. Okay, so those are the 3 supplements that I would recommend. There's a whole bunch on the list that you guys can use, like fat burners, a bunch of different stimulants, bunch of different stimmies.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that is so important. I do want to actually clarify that a fat burner is essentially just a stimulant. So if you are going to take pre-workout and you are going to do, caffeine and all that, be mindful of the fat burner. When it comes to any kind of stimulant, assess your tolerance. I know there's some non-stim fat burners that work great, like we use Condemned Labs Thyrogen, which is, it helps increase body temperature, it helps drop water weight, and helps produce more sweat. So that's more of a diuretic, but not necessarily diet. So assessing your tolerance with caffeine, just making sure that you're not overloading it, because there is a point where you can actually have too much caffeine and it does actually the opposite effect, where you hit such a high point you crash and your body just doesn't get energized anymore. So no sense in wasting your time with that. Before I go through my recommendations, while we are on the subject of creatine as well, how do you, I know there's so many different people that believe in loading phases, no loading phases. Where do you stand on that?
Personally, I've never loaded in my life, so I don't really have a stance on it. I just go a scoop a day, keep the doctor away, 5 grams keeps you good.
And that's honestly the study that I found too, is you don't necessarily need a loading phase if you're going to just do it every day. So if you're taking 5 grams of creatine every day, which honestly, some pre-workouts have like 2.5 grams of creatine, some post-workouts have some creatine in it. So
protein source is going to have a little bit of creatine
exactly.
in there.
And that's, so creatine is one of those big, it's not as scary anymore. I feel like even in the regular world, in like the non-fitness world, it's not as
frowned
upon and not as worryful, because there was always this talk about it messing with kidneys and all that stuff. And creatine is the second most researched supplement. Do you know what the number 1 research supplement is? Take a guess.
Pre.
Post. Whey protein. Whey protein is the number 1 researched. Yeah.
I can see how that is.
You know what it is? I don't even think of that as like a supplement.
Yeah, I don't either, but it is. It is a supplement.
Is that, and supplementation, so when you think about that word, all it is supplementation is getting an extra amount of what you need, getting to the point of what you need. So supplemental protein it's hard to get to 200 grams of protein that Quan needs, or I need the 180.
It's hard. It's hard.
To get that much protein in a day just by food alone, 1 is very expensive, 2 is very time consuming, and also 3 is very calorically dense. So the only way to get to that level without, by eating real food, you're probably going to be in a caloric surplus, most likely. Same thing with creatine. Now, creatine comes naturally mainly in red meats. The way I was explained to it, I think it's 5 grams of creatine is like an 8-ounce or 12-ounce steak or something like that. So to eat a 12-ounce steak every day, you're going to have a whole world of problems.
Exactly. Steak takes a while to digest too, so you're going to be
and it's high in pain, and it's high in calories, and that much red meat to that level is just not good for you.
But it is very satiating.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, so all creatine monohydrate especially, is just supplemental creatine, just to get you to that point, to have your creatinine levels full, so that you don't need to eat a steak every day.
Exactly.
As tasty as it is.
As tasty as it is, I would love to.
But I agree, yeah, no, I've done loading phases and I've done just regular taking it every day. I've seen no difference personally. I also don't cycle off.
Yeah, exactly.
There really is no need. I'll never forget.
I'm just on creatine for the whole year, literally.
Yeah, especially because there's no signs of actual damage as long as you take it properly, as long as you're hydrating. Importantly, I made the mistake of going on Reddit, and I asked getting ready for a competition, should I cycle off creatine to cut water? And they're like, yeah, man, right after you cycle off right after you cycle off protein and right after you cycle off breathing, you should definitely cycle off creatine. So there's some scumbags on Reddit.
Cycle off breathing.
That was my fault for asking the internet a question, but I agree. Yeah, so I stay with creatine year round, mainly because it's hard to get away from it at this point, between post workouts and pre workouts and my intra workouts. So that's where I'm gonna go. So for most people entering the fitness world, you don't need 1,000 supplements. You don't need if you see the cabinet in the room next to us that me, John, and Quan have, it looks ridiculous. It looks like something out of a chemistry lab. We have all sorts of different L-citrulline, beta-alanine, pre-workout, all that stuff. But so if you're entering into this world, all you really need is pre-workout. If you don't have natural energy, you can also get a non-stim pre-workout that just promotes blood flow, which is good for the pump and good for muscle health, and just good for circulation in general. And you don't need to have a stimulant with that. So I always recommend a pre-workout, especially with a pre-workout food. Back in the day, banana and peanut butter was all you needed, and you got, I got crazy energy from that. And then right after that,
rice cake and peanut butter. Listen, beautiful.
A simple carb to digest and to help put you through your workout. Can't go wrong with that. Intra-workouts with the BCAAs, I definitely recommend that for people. BCAAs and essential amino acids, with the amount of protein you're going to be eating, most protein sources, most animal protein sources I should say, and whey protein has the branched chain. All amino acids are the building blocks of protein to make it a complete protein. That's why back in the day with plant protein, the biggest negative to it before they started adding BCAAs to it is that you didn't have a complete protein, whereas animal protein is a complete protein, so it's actually going to be used properly to help build muscle. So protein is a building block of muscle, and amino acids are the building blocks of protein.
Can we just dabble in the differences between plant-based whey and then isolate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to discuss more of that?
Yeah, please. Talk to me about it.
Yeah.
What do you know about?
So obviously whey protein is from dairy, is derived from when you take, like if you take milk, it breaks down into curds and whey.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where whey protein is essentially just a dehydrated version of milk. It's a dairy product. So it's an animal protein. It is complete protein. So we have the best. That's where you're going to get the most, the best complete protein. And then you have amino acids with that to help complete that protein, to help break down that protein, so we can use it more efficiently for muscle health.
Do you know any specifics on the plant-based?
So plant-based, pea proteins and...
Sorry guys, it's not me, man. Plant-based, can't do it.
It's, you know what it is? I find it's definitely a little more gritty.
It's definitely gritty.
It's definitely gritty. And there's also different types of plant-based. So like there's, whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate. There's also pea protein. There's, what's the other one? Soy protein, which I don't recommend just because soy is very estrogenic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the word. It does mess with testosterone levels. If you're gonna go with a plant-based non-dairy version, I do recommend pea protein. I do find it breaks down a lot better. It's a little more quality. And you always got to just look at the amino acid profile. So that's a big thing when it comes to these plant-based proteins. I don't know the exact proteins you need. I'm sorry, the exact BCAAs you need. But always make sure it has an amino profile on the nutrition label when you're looking for a plant-based. And also, taking amino acids with you. So BCAAs that you take during a workout will help you with all the protein you eat throughout the day. Another benefit of having a vegan or plant-based protein is if you have a lactose intolerance. So some people, dairy doesn't agree with them, or if they're vegan and they don't ethically want to drink something animal-based, then you can take plant-based protein. Plant-based has come a long way, even in the 10 years that I've been around the protein world and been around nutrition. It's definitely a lot better now than it used to be. It's a lot more quality. So it is a good option. Whey isolate, I believe, is still whey.
Yeah.
But it's
I think it's a more concentrated version.
Yes, I believe it digests faster.
Yeah, less on the stomach.
Yes.
For those who are lactose. It's less on the stomach, definitely. Okay. I looked into it a little bit, and I actually used it. Still whey, it's just whey isolate, so it's a more concentrated version of it. And for those of us that are lactose intolerant, we can't really do dairy products, cheese too much. You won't be running to the bathroom after you have it.
Yes, and so leftover whey produced in the watery. Isolate is fat and lactose. Whey is processed to reduce its fat and lactose content, leaving mainly protein. Whey protein isolate may be better for people who have trouble. Yeah, you got it. Digesting and taking it in if they have lactose intolerance.
I hit the pooper.
Yes. Thank you, Quan. Thank you. Very, very important. That being said, we also have. What was the other one? Oh, so if you go down into whey, so even breaking down whey, there's also casein. Now, casein protein is...
So I got...
You have casein?
Yeah, slow digesting.
Slow digesting. It's great for when I was a skinny kid. It really helped me hold on to my muscle. My metabolism was so fast that 8 hours I was sleeping at night. 8 hours. my body would just burn right through and I would go catabolic. So I would lose a lot of my muscle mass that I just got. Those baby gains I just had were fleeing away. So casein protein is slow digesting, so it's really good for, you know, skinny guys that are trying to hold on to muscle to take before bed. But also, the slow digesting helps with curbing hunger. So if you're someone who's trying to limit their meal frequency, that's something that I would recommend for you as well, is casein protein.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good.
The downside to it, it's the consistency is a lot thicker.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to digest, or a lot harder to take in, and I feel like it just takes it just starts sludge.
That one I can't. That protein I can't do with water. Like.
Now the only way I've been able to drink casein is I've gotten vanilla and I mixed it with orange juice. The girl I was talking to a couple years ago, she told me that, and I swear it was
vanilla
protein powder, and orange juice. It makes a dreamsicle. I'm not a fan of that.
It makes a dreamsicle. Bro, I gotta try it.
It's really so. That's some free game for you guys. We've been hanging out for this long. Definitely try that and let me know in the comments if you have had dreamsicle before. No, it's honestly the best way to do it. It's the only way. And also the acidity of the orange juice just kind of makes it thinner and more tolerable. Because I've tried doing it with milk, and that's just straight pudding. Straight pudding in a cup.
What did we just talk about, bro? Supplements?
We talked about supplements. So I just finished off with my supplement recommendations, my supplement list. Anything else on the matter of nutrition for beginners and supplementation that you would recommend? That you can think of on the top of your head? We talked about multivitamins, we talked about fish oil. I'm just stalling while you think of it.
No. Here's what I got to say to that. So, the best bet, if you don't have any answers, is to seek a professional help. You know what I mean? That's the best way to do it. Sit down with someone, have them right in front of you. Whether it's Will himself, myself, we'll sit down, we'll be able to talk to you, discuss what we've done for ourselves, and that's worked for us, and even what hasn't worked for us, because that's important too, showing you guys the positives and the negatives of the nutritional side, showing you guys what happens when you guys do it right, what happens when you guys don't follow it correctly, you know what I mean? Because everyone's body's different, everyone's plan is going to be different, but the model of consistency is the same, right? I would say.
At the end of the day,
the model is the same. You know what I mean? The rule, the principle doesn't change. Whether you're trying to bulk, whether you're trying to cut, the rule doesn't change. We need to stay heavy on it and be consistent on the diet and nutrition outside and inside the gym, just to improve our performance, most definitely. So, again, I would seek professional help, if anything. If those don't answer any of my questions, if these videos don't answer any questions for me, I would seek professional help. They'll give you the time of the day. It should be free, even so. Literally, it should be free, you know, and they'll be able to give you some nice some nice knowledge from that sit down. Literally, they'll sit down right in front of you, display everything just like how we kind of did, go over your caloric intake, go over your macronutrients, what you're trying to reach, what you should reach to obtain your goals once we feel comfortable with you and we know your goals.
Definitely, and you can always DM us. Our ads are going to be down here if you have any kind of quick questions. If it's something that we can answer in 2 seconds, we probably will try and get to you and answer it. If not, if we don't have the time, we'll probably set a time to discuss with you, whether you're someone that we can meet in person or online. I'm a fitness nutrition specialist. I know you're
going through it
right now. So
not certified, I'm going through it.
So that being said, with those certifications, we also still can only recommend things. We also can't do blood work. So we can give you stories, we can give you what we've seen work in other people, what we've seen work in ourselves, but ultimately the best case is to go to a professional, go to a doctor, get your blood work done, see what on paper the numbers you need, and then from there we can really work well with you.
Exactly, and again, it's all just a body experiment, so even if we are successful or non-successful, we're on a long journey, so there's a bunch of different roads that we could take to get you guys to those goals, and that's just what we're trying to do with ourselves and our body appearance, is just get us to our goals, because we have our own goals that we're trying to reach and meet daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and it all starts inside the kitchen, unfortunately.
Absolutely, that would be easily, anywhere between 50 to 80% of the work is nutrition.
In the kitchen, exactly.
And we'll definitely...
No, my bad. And I would say, it's played a major role. I started off and I would say I didn't want to do a diet. I've been training myself for about 5 years and I never dieted or never tried to experiment it up until this following year. And I've been able to see tremendous amounts of results that I've never seen before from my rookie games. You know what I mean? That's where you get the most, gains. You get the most,
so
exactly.
So
and now that the nutrition is just locked in, everything's getting blown out of water. I'm at a new body weight. I'm at a new body fat percentage. Everything is new markers, and we're just looking to improve, just to get back to a new point, and then we could start up again with new goals and new assessments. So it's all a journey. We're all on the same road. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be long, but it's fun.
Absolutely. And the more we learn, the more we're gonna come right back here and tell you guys about it.
Exactly.
And with that being said, we do need to wrap up today.
Yes.
We'll have more about nutrition. We'll have more about fitness. If you guys have any questions,
please be sure to let us know. We would love to answer them, whether it be like a Q&A format video, or we're just, ending or a random question in the middle of a video or something like that. We'd love to answer them just to give it back to you guys so that you guys have everything. Our knowledge is your power, so we got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So you can message us down here. Our ads can be down here, like we said. You also could comment under this video. We don't really have anything else. I don't have Twitter or anything like that, so I can't even just say. Just go to our Instagrams, comment on our YouTube. If you follow us on SoundCloud or Spotify, thank you so much.
SoundCloud, you're a rapper.
Relax, bro. We're
gonna got him. Got him.
Anyways, be sure to follow us on there. Be sure to subscribe where you can. Follow us on Instagram, and make sure you hit that bell button to get updated. We're gonna try to get these videos out every week at least, if not 2 a week. But I guess you'll find out when they post. So, thank you guys so much. We'll see you later.
See you later.